I lasted 10 minutes, checking my pistol and shotgun, organizing the potions and chems in my pockets, digging in my saddlebags. I came across the memory orb of Blue Blood Manor. Maybe there was something in there about Vanity's nephew? No. Honestly, of all the marauders, Vanity had seemed, after Big Macintosh, the most concerned with his teammates. I lifted the orb and caught Lacuna's eye. "I'm going to take a peek, okay? So no hanging me upside down from the foot of a boat," I warned. Seriously, I'd come out of bad enough memory orbs, and in enough bad ways already. She nodded once and continued to gaze out at the rain, looking a little pained. "Enervation?" I asked. "For the last hour, but nothing serious. Just a drain on our potions, I suppose." She gave a little smile. "Really? You'd think the goddess would provide me with some simple healing spell." I guess it was an indirect screw blackjack. Gently, I tapped my orb against the horn. "Okay, I'm safe. This is Vanity, so it should be okay. Come on. Come on." It wasn't working. Was there a password or something? I thought of the Marauders, Golden Blood, Princesses, Ministry Mares. I glanced at the picture of Rarity with her shopping bag. A spark, and the world swirled away. Okay, not quite what I was expecting. Soft sheets, green velvet drapes around the bed, a very nice-smelling mare, and 2 ponies having a very good time. I gave a mental roll of my eye and did my best not to think of the Ironshod firearms catalog. Okay, IF-80 is a 20 gauge. Nope, that's a 12 gauge. Shotgun. Pump action. Shoots a variety of ammo types, including buckshot. Sweet Celestia, shoot me now! Why on earth was he licking... Oh, okay. That's new. Check, please. Why wasn't there a cancel feature on memory orbs? Finally. Really? 3 times? Finally, they rolled off each other, and a shimmer of blue swept the drapes back to reveal the bedroom. The mare gave a groan of complete delight as she lay back in the sheets. He started to kiss along her pale neck, but then the door banged open. Like magic, the mare was transformed into a ball underneath the sheets as Blue Blood stomped in. I'd never really seen him up close, pre-ghoulification before. But Blue Blood was clearly a suave-looking buck, even if he was more than twice my age. Right now, though, he was completely a mess, his mane long and scraggly and his eyes bloodshot. He smelled of stale grapes and pony sweat. "Vanity! Are you here? Vanity!" The emerald-maned buck shook himself and rubbed his temples. "So nice to see you're back in Canterlot early. You know, even the princesses don't attend the others in their beds. Blue Blood. If the manor isn't aflame, then can this please wait for later?" The mare looked as if she was attempting to dig through the mattress to escape. Blue Blood seemed completely oblivious to both Vanity's comment and the ball under the covers, as he threw his hooves wide. "She's gone, Vanity. She was right here, in Hoovington, at some tawdry shop, and then was gone." Vanity sighed, making a face of annoyed resignation. "Good goddesses, pull yourself together. If any pony sees you like this, they're never going to stop talking." He herded the exhausted, frazzled-looking Blue Blood out the door. "Now, get some sleep, get something to eat, and, above all, wash. Then we'll schedule a proper grooming. You simply have to put her behind you. She's just one silly old mare who can't appreciate you." Was it my imagination, or did the lump under the sheets give a soft snort of outrage? Vanity's attempt to mollify the Morse buck failed. "She's not one mare. She's the mare. The only mare who could ever complete me. How am I supposed to court Twilight Sparkle now, or Fluttershy? No! How could she—" And that moment, I was guessing it was pretty easy. Of course, I also remembered him running his sword through Rose's heart. A minute later, Vanity returned to the room, closed the doors, locked them, and then, after a moment's hesitation, lifted his heavy desk against them. Just another mare, huh? A very familiar unicorn said. He turned to look at the mare sitting upright on his bed. Her purple mane disheaved and tangled about her shoulders. She looked at him with hard blue eyes. Silly, am I? Old? She said that word almost as if it were an obscenity. Vanity chuckled as he sat down beside her on the bed. Most sincere apologies. I had to get him out of here somehow. Your rejections completely broke him. I don't think any mare in history has so thoroughly turned down a proposal. If I knew what a big baby he was going to be, I would have passed it on to Luna. Rarity sniffed disdainfully. I'm sure she would have helped him get over it far more efficiently and effectively, likely with a wartime commission, she said sourly as she flopped back against the pillows. I shudder for the war effort, he replied as he lay beside her, stroking her cheek. We could just let him catch us, he said as he kissed her throat. She murmured and sighed. A few minutes of satisfaction at the most, followed by the scandal of the century and utter disintegration of my career and reputation. She tapped her chin thoughtfully. Not that it isn't tempting, but I simply couldn't leave my friends alone. They need me. Besides, some scandals never fade. Would it really be that bad? He asked as he cuddled with her. Yes, Vanity, it would. She touched her chest lightly. A mare who's desirable but unobtainable has power over those who covet her. She is a priceless commodity. But if they know that another obtained her, then she is cheapened and no longer priceless. Really? But you clearly wish to be obtained. He chuckled as he smiled. And how? She said with an unapologetic smile, and yet also a demure blush. I'm not made of stone, you know. Indeed, I noticed, he said with a soft poke of her belly. The most delightful marshmallow in Equestria. And he proceeded to nibble gently on that marshmallow, much to the barely stifled giggles of the mare. She sighed and pouted playfully. Oh, why do I have to pick such a cruel consort? She said, throwing a foreleg around her brow dramatically. Sometimes we make mistakes in those we choose to love, he replied softly, and her smile disappeared as she looked away. He stroked that rumpled mane. How's Fluttershy? He asked in a gentle, concerned tone. As well as can be expected after what that bastard did to her. She's throwing everything into something. Some special project she thinks will change the war and end it. She sighed softly. It's been almost 4 years now. This war and these ministries are like a fashion that's grown quite noisome. I quite like something fresh. She looked at him and sighed. And since he's tiptoeing around the corners of the conversation already, what's that bastard up to? Suffering, I hope? Vanity sighed. Actually, I think he is. Oddly, Rarity's satisfaction seemed to turn into a thin sympathy. He never meant to hurt her, but he did, and he knows it. And I don't think he'll ever forgive himself for it. She sighed and buried her face into his neck. Why couldn't we have met under different circumstances? One where there was no war, or killing, or plots and secrets. I'm so dreadfully tired of intrigue. Or fears of our loved ones being hurt. I thought I'd be married by now. Perhaps even a mother. And now... She sighed, one hoof rubbing her tummy slowly. I'm starting to turn into an old mare. A stunning, lovely old mare, he replied, and she gave him a small smile in return. We do live in interesting times. I'm just trying to keep my nephew under control and prevent him from hurting any pony. Himself. Others, I recommend he take a leave of absence. Instead, he's throwing himself into his work even more. He pressed his lips together. I've contemplated leaving the Marauders so I can supervise him. You'd leave Jetstream? Rarity asked softly, her tone concerned as she stroked his cheek. The memory modification went perfectly for once. She doesn't remember Stonewing except as another soldier. She's focusing on her work now, too. Macintosh is keeping her busy. He sighed and shook his head. I guess it's a way to handle grief. Why didn't we meet at the gala all those years ago? She said with a faint sigh. Then we could have had our wonderful happily ever after. As you recall, you saw Blue Blood and quite ignored the younger prince with the acne problem behind him. He replied with just a hint of reproach. Oh, yes. Well, you must understand those were my silly, flighty days, she said with a furious blush. He smiled down at her and kissed her softly on the lips. Forget rarity. I wanted to marry vanity. When their lips parted, she groaned. Stop, please. I simply must get back to Canterlot. My staff gossips quite enough. I don't have time for a fourth. Or fifth. Or sixth. He teased as he nudged her hip. Or a seventh? Sweet Celestia, did vanity complete in marathons? Afterwards, they were panting and spent. She looked at him flatly. You are a monster. But I'm a very good monster, he said, his lips parting as a grin as Rarity turned red once more. Enough, enough. I'm going, before you tempt me into a disaster. But she did have time for one more kiss. Then she emerged from the bed and gave herself a shake. Magically, her mane returned to its luxurious curls. Okay, that was a neat trick. I like that trick. Then she blew him a kiss, and, with a blue-white flash, she disappeared from sight. I woke and looked around as quickly as I could. Okay, no monster ponies, cyber ponies, enclave hit squads, remnant hit squads, cyber dogs, manticores, giant frogs, boats, wait, never mind. I swapped out the zodiacs for nightmare hit ponies dressed in black. Instead, I was almost disappointed to find myself still on the mattress. No bullet holes, no terrible wounds, nothing. So why were all my friends staring at me? P21 was smiling faintly and kept glancing over at me from his textbook. Scotch Tape was giggling. Lacuna was blushing, and Glory was looking at me with a very strange smile. The gray Pegasus cleared her throat softly. So, good memory orb? I hesitated before I answered warily, rising to my hooves. Yeah? What was going on? P21 coughed, looking like he was actually fighting the urge to grin. A very good memory orb? Glory asked again. My confusion started to give way to irritation when I sniffed and blinked. What was that smell? Wait, I knew that smell. And that smell was coming from me. Blackjack's been naughty. Scotch Tape fell over laughing. I went as red as my stripes and my mane. Dear Luna, I was sore. How could I be sore? I hadn't done anything. It wasn't me. I finally lost the capability to speak altogether and just stammered, hopelessly incapable of explaining. Very naughty. Gloria replied with a nod as she walked along behind me. We'll have to deal with that later. She stepped next to me, her side rubbing against my flank, and then her tail snapped against my rump. I think my blush jumped all the way to infrared. Funny, I seem to remember not long ago that Glory was the one who would be rendered speechless through sex. I definitely recalled that to be her thing, not mine. So why was I suddenly incapable of talking besides stammering incomprehensibly? Scotch Tape seemed to find this to be a sense of endless glee. Mares, P21 said in summation, despite the glares of three of us. He rose to his hooves and stretched. Well, now that you're finished, shall we be on our way? Yes, we shall. I could do a walk in the lovely, cold rain. Really, a cold rain shower never looked more inviting.